properly the way I want it to. It looks like it. Perfect. So happy Mole Day from a distance. You already know that Amedeo Avogadro was the Italian chemist slash physicist who is credited with coming up with this concept. He didn't actually come up with a number, but he proposed that it was possible to come up with a count, and he was a count. So only rich people could do science back in the old days, and thankfully that's not the case anymore. He worked as a lawyer initially, and then got his own laboratory, and then played around with gases. Gases were all the rage at that time, figuring out there was matter in stuff that you couldn't see. And so he proposed that things combined in certain ways to make different compounds, and kind of came up with that idea of a molecule. It was years after his death when he was fully vindicated isn't maybe the right word, but fully given credit for his good thinker. He didn't do lots of experiments per se, but he did come up with a concept, and one of his students named the number after him. So if you were in class over during the week, we had a display, but it was probably too cluttered to notice because I had all the lab equipment out on the front counter as well. This is my what does a mole look like display, and on the left is a beaker with a mole's worth of sugar, table sugar molecules in it, and this is a mole's worth of copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. This is a mole's worth of baking soda. 18 milliliters is a mole's worth of water, H2O. So these are all compounds, very different in appearance, but each one of them contain the same quantity of particles, which is really kind of weird. And then in the middle is my Amedeo Avogadro mole that my wonderful husband hand sewed for me years and years and years ago when I first taught a full year of chemistry. Aluminum foil aluminum's an element, copper, iron, and zinc. These are all weighed out. All of these, I can tell that there's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms if they're elements, or molecules if they're compounds, because of their molar mass. And we'll talk oodles more about that later. It's kind of early in the year to bring it up, but I don't want to miss October 23rd. Just to give you a vague idea of how humongous the number is, it's really hard to wrap your brain around it. But if you had a mole's worth of paper clips, the little ones, it would go around the equator 450 trillion times. That's a lot. I don't know where you would get a mole's worth of cantaloupes. There aren't that many. There never have been that many. There never will be that many. But if you did 6-inch diameter cantaloupes, that's a pretty small one, actually. Same volume as the Earth. A mole of pennies given to every person on the planet, 7 billion of us, would give each of you $1.6 million per minute for a whole year, a year's worth of minutes. A mole of stir bars would cover the Earth up 40 miles thick, and a mole of marbles would be about 3 miles thick on the entire surface of the planet. Excuse me, stir bars would only be on the contiguous United States. All right, so what is Mole Day? It's a silly, silly idea somebody came up with, some teachers in Wisconsin years and years ago. 10 to the 23rd, 10/23, that's today's date, from 6:02 in the morning to 6:02 in the evening. Some people do breakfast at 6:02 in the morning and meet up with their classes. I think I might have tried that once a couple decades ago. Didn't turn out great, so I don't bother getting up that early. Honors Avogadro's number, of course. It's part of the metric system, how we measure things in chemistry, and it's just a way to have some fun and make people interested. It is celebrated all around the planet. It's not just in the United States or even just in North America. This is a poster someone made several years ago that I thought was really pretty. And so there's actually a foundation and a nonprofit organization that helps keep it alive. And they say that it started based on a Science Teacher magazine article in the 80s. And Officially, the Mole Day Foundation was started in 1991. And National Chemistry Week is this week also. It's also National Earth Science Week. Those darn Earth Science people couldn't get their own week. So normally, if we were a class, you'd be coming in through the mole hole. It's a little silly thing that I built a few years ago. Crawl in through my room because, you know, moles crawl underground. So what's on the agenda for today? Well, welcome. And we're going to do a pledge. And we're going to see the 10 commandments. And if you are able to come to class on campus this week, you should have a little white baggie. We'll break those out. Toast Amadeo Avogadro, have some little goodies, and share our cards and creations. So a mole pledge. Probably you know you're supposed to, when you do the Pledge of Allegiance, face the flag. Duh. But if there's not a flag around, you're supposed to face towards the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. So face towards the east. If that is a thing, then saying a pledge to moles would mean that you're supposed to pledge to a mole, but we don't have any moles probably at your house. So you should bend over and face the earth to do this, which is, of course, also very silly. Not going to do that. So what's a pledge? I actually have two of them. This is from some university professors, believe it or not. I pledge allegiance to the mole and to the science from which it comes. One SI unit, extremely divisible, with micromoles and millimoles for all. So silly, silly, silly. And then this one I find really, really cute. Also, I pledge allegiance to the mole, to the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, and to the atomic mass for which it stands, one number, most divisible, with atoms and molecules for all. So that was from high school in Wyoming. All right, 10 commandments. Please don't get mad at me. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious. It's just silly. Thou shalt not use 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd in vain. Thou shalt not use the term mole if thou hast no true knowledge of the term mole. Hopefully you have a little bit of knowledge, so you're okay there. Thou shalt not kill a mole, always. This one's my favorite one. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's mole. And thou shalt always remember to celebrate Mole Day. Thou shalt not disparage Mole Day. Don't say bad things. Thou shalt not use a mole out of season. Don't know what that means. Didn't make this up. You should always honor the one who introduced thou to Mole Day. That would be moi. You shall always keep sacred 10 to the 23rd. And you shall always remember these 10 commandments. So silly, silly, silly. This year's theme is Mozilla, and I ordered tattoos a couple weeks ago, but they still haven't arrived. So in your white baggie is our tattoos from previous years. So you might have a Molly Potter one. You might have a Moline. Probably remember from grammar school, you peel off the little plastic top and then put it on your arm, or some people do it on their faces with a wet cloth for about a minute, and then it stays. They're not permanent tattoos. Okay. So if you want to celebrate by putting one of those on, you can. It's not as much fun unless you have other people to show it off to. But when I do get the ones for this year, I will distribute them to the people in class, at least. All right, I'm going to come back to this. I want to go to the cards that you made for your partners, and unfortunately my laptop links to a different server and I have to go through Chrome, so I'll come back to that. These are just some silly projects from past years. This is a molasses cookie with a little tail on it. Molasses, yum, yum, yum. Ginger molasses cookies. Happy Mole Day. There's some cupcakes someone made years ago. Someone else made caramel apples, and I've had those before. And also these were lollipops of some sort. It's a very cute bag they made. These are adorable. The Hershey's Kisses, and they put little eyeballs and noses on them. And these are attached to chocolate-covered cherries. really cute on a bed of coconut shavings. Really clever, cute cake. I've had lots of wonderful cakes over the years. People have redone soda bottle labels. CHEM Mole and Dr. Mole, Molten Dew. This was molami instead of salami and cream cheese. That was really yummy, something that wasn't sweet. I didn't get a picture of guacamole on there. I don't know why I didn't do that. But anyway, just some silly moles. This was, they wanted their avocado pillow back. So, but they put Avogadro's face on it. It was pretty humorous. And then, of course, Avogadro toast, poster. No! Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul. If you were in class this week, you saw those. This was very clever. She made the entire set of Molevengers. My giantest mole is up in my room still. I did that. Pokemole, Creme Moles. This is Chance's older brother did these. This is a thermometer. Yeah, a mole dunk. So maybe a mole football. This was adorable. I bring this out every Christmas. Rudolph the red-nosed rain mole and the abominable mole, snow mole. That was very clever. This sign is up in the room too, falling molders instead of falling boulders. Mozart, if you were there and I had time in class, I shared some of these with you. Someone made this several years ago, put so much time into it. She did a beautiful job, made me a Monopoly board. The young lady that made this took it home with her because she obviously put a lot of time, high school musical with all the different performers. Oops, and then emojis. I have that up in the room too. That was really clever. Whack-a-mole. And I laughed so hard when she showed me this. That's a mocha in a Starbucks cup with a whipped cream. Pretty clever. All right, so for mold educational purposes, there's a little TED Ed. It's less than 5 minutes long, an ed puzzle for you to do. It's very well done, I think. And a poster made by one of my students several years ago. YOMO instead of YOLO. You only know once. All right, and then the gentleman who actually is most credited with getting the organization started and spreading the word about Mole Day passed away in January of this year. So Maury Oler is a chemistry teacher in Wisconsin. Super neat guy, really humorous, and yet another sad thing that happened in 2020. So anyway, that is the end of my presentation on moles, but I want to see if I can find